p.m. in Boya, chief town of the southwest region of the country. Good evening, dear viewers. Thank you so much for taking a rendezvous with us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major stories. The consumption of a locally made drink, commonly known as a fofo, leaves at least 8 persons dead and 2 others hospitalized. The incident occurred at the Tanko neighborhood in Bonaberry, Douala 4 subdivision, has left residents in shock. Away from that, we'll take you to the far north region, where Boko Haram continues causing havoc in that part of the country. A vigilante committee member has been killed in his house, with 2 women abducted by alleged separatists in a locality known as Zamzav. The victims were kidnapped while at their farms. And also in this newscast, we'll talk sports as the president of FECAFOOT, Samuel Eto'o maintains Mark Breeze as head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon while appointing a new technical staff for the Lions. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details. And we'll begin this edition of the news with a sad note coming right here in the city of Douala, where at least 5 persons have died in unclear circumstances in Bonaberry, Douala 4 subdivision. The victims reportedly died after consuming a locally produced drink known as a fofo. 2 other persons who developed health complications after consuming the locally produced drink have been hospitalized at the Sebek Catholic Hospital. Visiting the Tanko neighborhood where the incident occurred, our reporters were informed that the woman who produces and sells the drink has been doing so for the past 30 years and such tragic sins has never occurred at her place. They equally stated that several other persons drank the same drink but had no health complications. We are closely following up the story. I'll be coming with details in our subsequent editions of the news. Away from that, we'll be talking about another fatal road accident that leaves 2 persons dead and 1 other injured in Douala. The victims were on board a bike when they were crushed by a heavy-duty truck. This accident comes less than 4 hours after 2 other persons died and 4 others got injured in another accident that took place at the Valley Bisenge neighborhood, still here in the city of Douala. Eyewitness blamed the biker for reckless driving. We have details with Eselu Siliengo.
2 corpses lying on the tar, a bike rider and his passenger, died in a fatal road accident that occurred this Wednesday evening around Collège de la Salle in Aqua, Douala 1 subdivision. The bike rider is blamed for reckless driving. The bike rider got crushed when he tried to overtake a heavy-duty truck. There were 3 of them on the bike. The woman behind came out safe, but the one in the middle died later on. The inhabitants also blame the poor state of the road, made up of a large pothole. They add that the stretch has been in a deplorable state for about 3 years now, and several persons have lost their lives in a similar accident.
Donc moi je pense que la cause, c'est vrai, il y a d'abord la mauvaise conduite, mais l'état de la route aussi est pour quelque chose.
The Army Rescue Team and the Divisional Officer of Douala 1 Subdivision immediately descended on the scene. The lifeless bodies have been deposited at the Bonasama District Hospital mortuary. Family sources say the passengers, 2 sisters, left Bonaberry to shop in one of the major markets in Aqua ahead of their trip to Boya. The sister who survived remains inconsolable.
And some residents in the Dogbasi neighborhood, Douala 1 subdivision, say they have spent 2 months in the dark, adversely affecting their health and economic activities. With no notion on where the fault is coming from, they say their sole wish is that power supply be restored. Innocent Aze has the details.
Inhabitants of Nouvelle Generation and other quarters in the Dogbasi 2 neighborhoods, Douala, have spent weeks and months for others without electric energy, with enormous consequences at home.
Vous parlez de semaines, on va à plus de 2 mois que nous n'avons pas de lumière. Mais voilà, je sors comme ça pour aller charger mes téléphones.
I have emptied my fridge because everything inside was decaying, with pungent smell from it attracting flies all over.
Tout jeté. On a jeté beaucoup de choses depuis ce matin. Depuis que ça ne tenait pas. Pas seulement ce matin. C'est depuis même 3 jours.
Just like adults, children suffer from mosquito bites even more at night, resulting to malaria. Studying at night is another issue.
Les enfants se couchent qu'au sol.
Children sleep on the floor and are not spared by mosquitoes.
Les moustiques ne font que le mec. Depuis pratiquement.
For about 2 weeks now, almost everyone at home is sick of malaria. It is also examination period, but how will the children study?
Vous pouvez imaginer dans quel contexte ils peuvent apprendre.
On the other hand, business activities are crippled.
Avec cette coupure, on ne peut pas écraser, donc j'utilise le groupe.
Moi, je suis une commerçante.
I roast fish and sell. How will I conserve it?
Je suis obligée d'aller au marché tous les jours. Mes condiments, mon piment, tout est gâté.
Apart from this, the inhabitants say they are also suffering from acute water shortage.
Donc, les gens qui ont
We fetch water from boreholes owned by neighbors.
soutien avec de l'eau ici au quartier. La Sénèque ne passe même pas.
Their wish is for these situations to return to normal, like the case in other neighborhoods.
And now we talk something else. The dilapidated state of buildings of Government Technical College Banga in the Mungo Division has propelled the principal of the college to ask for urgent intervention. According to Isupi Alfred, the structure needs urgent renovation so as to enable students study in a safe environment. Smaji Kangebo tells us about the state of the school.
Poor state of a government technical college, Banga, in the Mungo division, calls for an urgent action. With rains already around, it is the students who are disturbed from learning whenever it rains because their classes are flooded. I met the structure of GTC in Banga very old. It was since 1953 that the zincs were placed on the roof, and most are already rusted and leaking, causing floods in the classrooms. Generally, the college is old. On this open door day at the campus of Government Technical College in Banga, it was an opportunity for the students to showcase some of their handwork. Apart from the dilapidated structure of the institution, which is a major call for concern, they also lack good workshops to carry out their practicals. They have sent this message to the government. Notwithstanding the effort of the state, we are still in need. We also call on the internal and external elite of Mbanga to help the school, since the state can't do everything. The hope of the administration and students of Government Technical College in Banga is to have a decent learning environment when they return in the 2024-2025 academic year.
Now we talk about rising insecurity as 2 female farmers have been abducted by large Boko Haram fighters in Damadaf, a locality in the far north region of Cameroon. They were taken away by the militants from their farms yesterday morning in Ladu, that is in Turu clan. The militants killed a vigilante committee member in his house. To step up the capacities of the vigilante committee members, 81 members have been trained by the military. Babila Jonathan reports.
Boko Haram militants continue killing persons, destroying their properties and making away with some of their belongings, including foodstuffs, cattle and sheep in villages of the far north region of Cameroon. Fighting alongside the army of Cameroon, young people grouped in vigilante committees have been risking their lives using local combat equipment like torches, machetes, batons, bows and arrows given to them by traditional authorities like the second-class chief of Koza Center, His Majesty Bukar Kildadi Lawan. At least 10 of the vigilante committee members have been killed in the fight against terrorism. Within the framework of Cameroonian authorities' fight against the security threat, 81 vigilante committee members have been equipped with military skills through a 3-month accelerated military training. The members of the Koza Vigilante Committee in the Mayo-Chanaka Division were trained by Cameroonian Army officers of the Motorized Infantry Brigade.
From Marwa in the Far North region, we now take you to the Northwest region as soldiers of the Rapid Intervention Battalion have been called upon to desist from having conflicts with the population. The call was made by the coordinator of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, Colonel Francois Pelene, during the inauguration of a military base in Kumbo, Bui Division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Bo Stella has more from the Northwest region.
Kumbo has been one of the localities in the Northwest region with kidnappings for ransoms, killings and destruction of livelihoods still displacing the population. Despite the scars of war that still linger in Bui and other parts of the Northwest region, the opening of a Rapid Intervention Battalion base in Kumbo marks a turning point for the community.
I have farms I have abandoned. Meanwhile, I depend on agriculture for survival. I hope this new camp represents hope, such that I can go back to my farms.
The base in Kumbo will serve as a vital lifeline for military operations geared towards pacifying the area.
The camp is coming up the time where the population of Kumbo and Bui Division at large is yearning for the return of peace and normalcy. So this camp, once more, is an assurance of the fact that their security is being taken into account by the state.
The presence of the military not only brings security, but also symbolizes a commitment to restoring peace and stability to Kumbo. Beyond a base for the coordination of operations, the soldiers have been urged to work in synergy with the local population.
I'm telling the soldiers that they are here, the center of gravity of their work is the population. So they are here to serve the population, to protect the population, not serving themselves, but serving the population, so that the link between the army and the nation will be really materialized here in Bui Division.
Away from the battlefield, the base serves as a beacon of hope for the people of Kumbo. It represents a promise of security, resilience and progress in the face of the now 7 years armed conflict which has greatly affected the local population.
Now we talk religion. Christians of the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral have been urged to love one another as every human being is just a pilgrim on earth. The call was made by the rector of the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral, Monsignor Benahona Tonye, during his Holy Mass to celebrate Ascension Thursday today. Other Christians believe Jesus was taken up to heaven, body and soul. Annabella was at the cathedral and she tells us details in her report.
At the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral, the Christians gathered to celebrate the feast of the Ascension. Jesus, the Savior of mankind, went up to heaven, body and soul, as stated in the Gospel, and marked as the second glorious mystery. The Mass at the Cathedral in Douala was celebrated by the rector, Monsignor Benahona Tonye.
L'Ascension, c'est le départ de Jésus de cette terre pour dire terre à terre. Le Seigneur s'élève et quitte ce monde. Il achève sa mission terrestre et retourne vers son Père.
Celebrated 40 days after the resurrection of Christ, Jesus goes up to heaven to send the Holy Spirit, which is the teacher, the paraclete and reconciliator to his apostles on earth. Thus, we must be ready to act in love towards one another.
Et nous sommes aujourd'hui dans notre pays, le Cameroun, vous le savez, je ne vous apprends rien. Il y a la guerre, des foyers de tension dans des zones du nord-ouest, du sud-ouest et dans le Grand Nord. Cette fête doit nous aider à comprendre que nous sommes de passage sur la terre.
Monsignor Benahona Tonye adds that the Ascension teaches further that we are all passers-by here on earth and we must be satisfied with ourselves after our own earthly journey, just like Christ did.
Nous devons nous accueillir et nous aimer mutuellement pour bâtir une société juste, une société vraie, une société d'amour, et non une société dans laquelle certains sont rejetés, certains sont méprisés, certains sont méconnus, mais non. mais une société fondée sur les valeurs évangéliques et spirituelles. Et rien n'est au-dessus de l'amour.
On Ascension Thursday, Jesus goes ahead to heaven to prepare a place for those with the spiritual merit to be with him after their own terrestrial mission on earth.
And away from religion, we now move over to our sports page, as the president of the Cameroon Football Federation has appointed a new technical staff to manage the Indomitable Lions. After an emergency committee meeting, Samuel Etofis maintained Mark Breeze as his two assistants, but brought in 2 new persons to replace others appointed by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Chief Professor Narcis Mwele-Kombi. This is happening at a time when Mark Breeze is expected to announce his list of players. Maji Kangiba, sportsman, tells us more.
After 48 hours of heated Cold War between Cameroon Football Federation (FECAFOOT) and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education on an outing made by the world's football governing body FIFA on who can appoint the technical staff of the senior men's national football team, the Indomitable Lions, in a video conference that brought together members of the emergency committee of FECAFOOT, Samuel Etofis releases the names of the technical staff of the Indomitable Lions. Surprisingly, Samuel Etofis retained Mark Breeze, Joachim Munanga and Jani Giloris as appointed by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, then replaced François Oman Biik, Ashu Besson, Alium Bukar, Didier Banlock and Noel Esenge. The newcomers, as per the media release signed by the Secretary General of FECAFOOT, Blaise Njungnang, include Martin Tungumpile as Assistant Coach number 1, Pagu David as Second Assistant Deputy Coach, Kamini Idris Carlos as the Goalkeepers Coach, Dr. Fotso Guapa Patrick Joel as the Team Doctor, Angwa Bernard Christian as the General Team Coordinator, and Terin Do as the Team Press Officer of the Indomitable Lions. According to the 2015 convention between FECAFOOT and the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education, the Sports Minister was supposed to validate any appointment made by FECAFOOT. The question is, will Chief Professor Narcis Mwele-Kombi give the go-ahead to the appointment of Samuel Etofis? Only time will tell.
That's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us on the second part. Tonight, we'll be receiving Professor Mark Anthony Kumbo. He's a civil society actor, and we'll be discussing about the recent recurrence of accidents on our major highways. Good evening, Professor. It is a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight. What is your reaction after hearing about the death of 4 persons with many others injured in 2 separate accidents here in the city of Douala yesterday?
Good evening, Immaculate Fogway, and thank you for receiving me. I want to, first of all, extend my condolences to the family of those who lost members of their families yesterday during those 2 accidents that took place. And it's unfortunate that we are talking about road safety, and we have an interurban city bus. We have interurban city buses which are supposed to be even showing example, because they are directly connected to the Ministry of Transport. They are rather the ones that are causing havoc within the city. You know, when I heard about these accidents, I got a little bit disturbed, and I recalled an incident that took place. One day I was driving from around Sokave. I was coming up towards the entrance where the Soka 2 buses always park. And I realized that these drivers are not patient. And the way he abandoned his side of the road in order to rush into their their bus stop there, got me disturbed, because I was driving. He came face to face with me. If I was not vigilant, he would have crushed me. So I had to pull myself out of the road in a space which was practically not possible. And people were shocked that day. And I'm sure that is the same thing that these guys do. I don't know if they even do checks on their cars. I don't know the kind of drivers they employ. So,
Professor, from what you're saying, you were nearly a victim of a ghastly road accident. Now, in your opinion, what are the main reasons behind these accidents? Is it an isolated problem, or does it reflect the huge lapses in the respect of road safety measures in Cameroon?
Let's be sincere. This is not an isolated incident. What happened yesterday happened in two different places. So we can't actually project it to be isolated. And that is not the first. You will realize that there are several accidents that usually take place, and worst part of it is these cars, I don't know if they take them to garages for checkup, because most of the times you see them creating unnecessary traffic on the road. Create traffic jam. They get back in the middle of the streets and there traffic all over. And you know, Douala is a city where people are on the rush. And as that hold up happens, people get to miss in their different programs that they were rushing to, due to the fact that Sokatu buses have blocked the road. It is not an isolated issue. One of the causes, I will be direct, for these irresponsible accidents are the irresponsible drivers that are running these buses. Their drivers need to be well trained, and they need to be reminded road safety measures. They need to be told, and in fact they need to be reminded they can be sanctioned and they should be sanctioned. Because I'm surprised that with all these accidents, the Ministry of Transport till now has not released a communique to actually appease the heart of the families that lose their children or fathers or whosoever yesterday. Two died at Besenge, and some are in the hospital right now caused by that. And in another place, I don't even remember that, but 2 persons died. Others were injured. Same bus company. How many times would this happen before the Ministry of Transport sanctioned them? They need to be sanctioned. Some of them, their driving license needs to be withdrawn in order for them to learn.
Now, can you assess the response of authorities and emergency services when confronted with such cases of accidents?
Like I mentioned, I will be categorical. Looking at the way accidents like such happen, if it might be an interurban bus, that was fact. For examples, let's use Buka. Let's talk about Equinoxe. The Ministry of Transport would have already sanctioned them. But when it comes to Sokatu, you and I know Sokatu is directly related to the Ministry of Transport. They are not being sanctioned. So if you ask me how I assess the response of the authority, the response is slow. In fact, they are not even being sanctioned. Nothing has been said about it. No communique has been released concerning the issues, and nobody has said anything. And we think it is normal. It's not normal. That's to make us understand that these individuals we claim to be authority of the nation are actually not working for the good of the people. They are fast to sanction those that do not relate, that are not directly connected to them. But when it comes to those, their own, when they are supposed to be the example, they don't sanction. They don't say anything. They don't even care how the lives, maybe the father of some children died yesterday, caused by Sokatu, especially what happened in Besenge yesterday. We don't know. And I think it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Transport to send a communique about that.
Now, what measures can be taken to prevent such incidents in the future?
Thank you. The question is very, very important. What can be done to prevent such incidents in the future? You see, I'll say primarily, Sokatu buses need a weekly checkup, because the manner in which these cars get bad on the roads, create unnecessary traffic, indicates that somebody is not doing his or her job okay. That company should have mechanics who do constant checkup of those cars to be sure they are fit for the road. Secondly, I think that the drivers of Sokatu need an upgrade. They need to be upgraded. Whosoever is selecting or picking them out to be drivers of that company need to take some time to check out who they are, because they shouldn't go and pick guys from the streets to come give them jobs in order to say they are giving employment to individuals. They should be well-trained drivers and should have the driving license for such cars. If not, we'll have more of such incidents in the future. And thirdly, sanctions should be given to drivers of such services in order to prevent them from involving in such in the future.
We'll take this last question. How does this strategy affect the local community, and what resources are available to support the victims and their families?
Sincere, Sokatu is supposed to be at the service of the people, which implies it is a company that was created to actually support and assist people in the community, different communities, for example, Douala. And if Sokatu has become a death trap where people are liable to, maybe you can get involved in accidents anyhow, I think already the impact in the community is that it brings fear. There will be fear. People will not want to use such a transport system that is going to bring death to them than bring life. That is a primary impact, fear. And secondly, I think that in relation to the community, people are getting to think already that this is not a safe means of transport within the city. They have accidents, they get bad anyhow, they block roads and create traffic. So nobody in his right mind wants to get in such. So I think that is a primary impact. And asking me what resources are available, I don't know the resources they have. I don't know. But I think since it is a company that the Minister of Transport is involved in, he should have an immediate release of resources to be able to see how to comfort the people and also to buy back the hearts of the people, meaning they need to revamp that particular company in order to attract clientele. Customers need to be attracted. What they are doing there now is really problematic.
Professor Mark Anthony Akumbom, civil society actor, thank you so much for your time. And that's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs. Up next is a program, Equinoxe. Stay with us if you can.